Hi, solo female travel is what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm out here in my van. I am not home. So I thought this would be a good time to answer some of your questions. So go ahead. If you're coming in later, make sure you click like. And I want you to subscribe if you haven't already done so, because I'm doing a lot of traveling and a lot of adventures, but at 7 p.m. on Saturdays, we do the live stream. So I don't know how long I'll be streaming tonight. It kind of depends on how loud the parking lot gets, actually. Uh, Let me move this up here. So, some of the questions I've been asked, I've just gotten back from Alaska, and some of the questions that I've been asked about solo female travel, I thought I would talk about tonight, and that is how to stay safe if you're doing solo female travel, especially van life, how to have fun when you're out on the road by yourself. I think some people, from what I've been asked, are a little bit insecure about how do you have fun if you're by yourself. So we're going to talk about that and talk about where to sleep, because that seems to be the big question. And I may do some other videos on these a little bit later. So I'm going to start off with staying safe. And when I'm in my van, I have several things that I do to stay safe in a van. The first is window coverings so people can't see in. I don't have them up right now because I'm parked at the end of the parking lot and I'm doing the live stream. But after the live stream, I'll be putting these up. Thomas Moore's Lionel Trains is in. Hey, how are you? I hope things are going well. So after the live stream, when I'm fully parked for the night, I'll be putting these up. These cover up the windows. I've actually got two different kinds, and I'll explain why. And as far as staying safe in the van, I've been in the van pretty much since 2015, off and on. I'm not full time in the van, I'm part time in the van. So I'll use it for like several weeks at a time and so forth. Um, the longest I've spent with the van has been probably about 6 weeks. And then lots of trips out at home and so forth. So, as far as staying safe in the van, I have two different types of window coverings. I wanted black ones for the back because not only does this block the light, but it keeps people from being able to see in. And people are used to seeing black in the back of a window when they see a van. So they just think that the van is empty because they're seeing black in the back windows. And for these, all that happens is they're really easy to put up. I'll show you. And so all I do is put them up. They're magnetic, and I have them for, both at the back windows. But up in the front, I wanted something different. And the reason, oops, let me turn this back here. The reason I wanted something different up front is because people are always putting Reflectix and those silver windshield screens up front. So I've got Reflectix, and I'll put that up front sometimes. I don't do it all the time. And the reason is I want to keep this center aisle of my van clear. Let me move this. Whoops. Sorry about that. So I have the center aisle clear from back to front. That way, if something comes up and I feel like I need to drive away quicker, I have a straight shot getting up to the front seat. So what I do then is, if I'm parked someplace, let's say I'm at a rest area, or I have parked, like going to Alaska, I parked on an overlook several times. When I did that, I pulled the front curtain, and that goes right behind the front seat. And I'll just pull this, and it goes all the way across, and blocks it up real good. I've got it caught on something, so I'm not going to pull it all the way, but you get the idea. It's just dark black panel curtain. This way, if I need to get up in the and I don't have to take down anything. Just throw that curtain back, boom, I'm gone. I'm out of here. Woo, okay. Thomas Moore says he's okay, which is perfect. And he's been working on his Lionel and Mark's train layout. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I guess that's going to be on your channel at some point. I hope so. So in the van itself, those are some of the things that I do to try to stay safe in the van. The Reflectix up front, which I put up part of the time. Definitely the window covers in the back. Now, I put those up no matter where I am. Also, these are thick. I put Reflectix inside of this just to make them thick, so it gives a little bit of insulation. Really important to me because I want to be able to get out quickly. And I know that some people have different layouts where maybe the bed is across the back. Maybe the bed is going across the back this way, where I have mine this way. And that's because I can just scoot over and put my feet on the floor. Sorry about the mess, you all. I didn't have a chance to straighten it up before the live stream. But I can just hop off the bed, grab my keys, which I keep in a certain spot. So I always know where my keys are. And if you're doing van life, that's one of the biggest tips I can give you as far as staying safe. And that is to keep your keys where you can get them easily. So I don't care if you have a special spot up front or if you wrap them and you have them on your wrist. If you're out somewhere where it might be a little questionable at all, keep your keys where you can get them. So some of the danger that lurks around is, of course, the obvious. That's the ones on two legs. But you also have, anytime you're out among wildlife, you may also run around like bears and moose and elk where you may want to drive away. So when I say you may want to leave, I'm talking about all circumstances and not just two-legged. Usually, if you're in a Cracker Barrel at night, Cracker Barrel, Walmart, Sam's Club, they'll usually let you spend the night without a problem and you can feel pretty secure there. When I'm sleeping there, I will put up the Reflectix on the windows. Anywhere else, like in truck stops, are a little on the gray area. It kind of, for me, it depends on where I park at a truck stop. If I am parked relatively near the building, then I'll go ahead and get fully comfortable for the night, put all my Reflectix out and so forth. If I am parked farther away from the building, then I'll just pull the curtain. And another thing that I do to help stay safe in the van for van life is I have pajamas in quotes that I sleep in, and it's really just a t-shirt and a pair of knit pants. So if something's up and I need to get out of the van for any reason, I'm dressed. If I need to leave, I'm dressed. I just feel like it's a safety factor. Plus, I don't walk well. Y'all know that. So, hey, busy ladies here. Hey. So I don't walk real well, and y'all know that. So I have a pair of slippers that I can wear to put on long enough to get up in the front seat and drive somewhere. And then as soon as I can, I'll stop and put my shoes on, because I don't know if y'all have seen this, but I do use a leg brace. So there you go. That's the top level of it. Tip it down for the whole thing there. So hopefully you can see that. It's a little bit of a challenge to put on quickly. I really can't do it. So extra shoes. I'm going to put y'all back up here. Sorry about the sounds of the cars, folks. Where are you? I am out and about. I am out and about, but I'll be back home tomorrow. So let me show you about parking when I'm doing van life, because the parking itself, right now I am in a store parking lot. They said I could spend the night. I don't know if this is a thing that they always do or what. I told them I was in the van, but that I have the window curtains and stuff up. But there's a big event in this town of some kind. So they may have made some allowances for that. But I'm actually at a Food Lion parking lot, and usually it's a no-go on spending the night. But let me show you like what I keep in mind when I'm doing it. Now you just stay. Yeah. And of course I've got this guy. Hi, Pipsy. Which brings me to another thing that people ask, and that is, do I feel safer traveling with a dog? I have a Labrador Retriever. No, I don't. I don't feel less safe. I just don't feel any safer because he's a lab. You know, labs are nice and non-threatening. Now, when I had Tomlin and I was traveling with him, that was a little different. Hold on, I got to fix my leg brace. So Tomlin was a little different. He was big. He was a 90-pound dog. And people sometimes, because he was a husky mix, they mistook him for a wolf. So, yeah, I didn't worry about that. And I didn't have nearly as many people petting him in the store either, just saying. So, okay, the first thing that I look for when I'm in a parking lot is, are there other rigs here? And that's usually a pretty good sign that the answer is going to be yes. The other thing is, I want to park near a traffic light. I hope y'all, parking lot light. I hope y'all can see that. If not, maybe you can see the one over here. I like to be a little bit closer. So when some of these cars leave that are behind me, I'll be parking under the parking lot light because that just gives you a little extra security. Also, if I'm at Walmart, I park next to the other rigs and under the light, and I'm where I can pretty much make sure that a security camera's got me. Because who's going to try anything if they know they're on film, right? So that's where I park. I also make sure I park in, a regular parking spot instead of one of the big ones, because if you park in a regular parking spot, nobody can pull in front of you because it's the roadway. Okay. So that's helpful because if you want to leave, you want to be able to pull out. So that means either backing in. Oh, I just noticed this RV behind me's on sale. Okay. So anyway, that means either backing in or pulling into the front space like this. Where you can just pull straight out. I thought labs could be protected. Not this one, but that's actually a plus. When you have a service dog, if your dog is so protective that they won't go with somebody, then that can cause bad things for the service dog. I'm going to set this right here. So yeah, if you've got a service dog and they won't go with somebody and they're too protective, then that can mean bad things. Like people's service dogs have been put down because they passed out or whatever, and EMTs could not work on them because the service dog wouldn't allow it. And so labs are non-threatening and they have a mild personality. So on this one, there is like no hope of him being, any kind of guard dog or anything like that. He's just pure service and just pure love. That's just him. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Hello, Pipsy. I'm talking about you. You just don't look impressed at all tonight, do you? No. Okay. I'm climbing back in the van here. Give me a second. Whoops. And yes, it's kind of a mess. I'm sorry. I should have thought about cleaning it, but I didn't think about that. So he is a big baby boy. He I'll post a picture in the group. You'll see how big of a baby my dog is. So yeah, I don't feel any more or less safe traveling with him. Well, actually, let me rephrase that just a little bit. I do medically feel a little safer with him being here because if my blood sugar drops and I don't realize it, then he'll catch it. If I start wheezing at night, he'll catch it. So as far as things like that, the regular tasks that a service dog does, yes, I feel safer. But general safety, just being out with solo female travel, he doesn't make a difference on that. Annie J's Crafts and Laughs. Hey, how are you? Will he bark if somebody knocks on the van or something? I actually haven't had anybody knock on the van, but I'm not really sure if he will or not. So I can't answer that because it hasn't happened. And part of that is parking in areas where it's accepted for you to park really cuts down on the likelihood if you're going to get that knock. If you're trying to be stealth and parking, in a subdivision or someplace like that, or just on the street, or if you've pulled off on an off ramp and you're trying to sleep, that seems to be when people are more likely to get that dreaded knock. But no. And let's see. I guess that's the biggest thing about the knock. Oh, your Chi barks her butt off if anyone knocks or she hears a doorbell. Yeah, no, I don't have that. He doesn't bark for doorbells. He doesn't bark for UPS or the mail or anybody. He just kind of lays there on his back with his belly stuck up in the air. I mean, like legit. So yeah, there's no possibility of him being a guard dog. But like I said, when I had Tomlin, that was different because Tomlin was just a bigger dog, and yeah, nobody bothers me. Oh yeah, another thing that I do at night when I go to park is I actually kept one of Tomlin's bowls, and it's large and it's in my cabinet, so I really can't get to it, but it's just a large water bowl or eating bowl. So I do put that, although empty, and sometimes I'll put, if it's windy, I've got a brick I put in it. But I will put that outside the van at night, so maybe that gives the impression that I have a larger dog in here, but yeah. Annie, it's good to see you. And Busy Lady says, LOL, he's like a cat. He is kind of, he is. He's a sweetie though. And I will say that he is the sweetest dog I have ever known. He's a mess. Yeah, that makes me feel a little safer. But now if I'm at an overlook, I won't do that. But if I'm at a rest area, truck stop, Walmart, Sam's, things like that, places like that rather, then yeah, I will put the bowl right outside. Yeah. So it's all about what are the little things that you can do to be safe when you're in a van. So like if I'm parked in a parking lot somewhere like a Walmart or Sam's Club, for example, I'm going to park, I'm going to put my covers up, I'm going to get him settled, take his nightly walk, do that routine, and then come back in and I am down for the night. Okay. I don't leave lights on or anything like that may advertise, hey, somebody's in the van. I do have a solar panel, and I've got this fan up here. So just a matter of having these on the van, that kind of advertises that, hey, this is a camper van. So I don't want to add to it. So that's why when I'm in at night, I do everything as quick as I can, cook something to eat and whatever, and then it's lights out. So get a dish that says beast on it. I like that idea. I like that idea. That is so clever. That is so clever. So I could paint it on there, actually. I could do that. I've even got glow in the dark paint. I could do that. That would be cute. So, those are it's just some common sense things, I think. Now, I did take a self-defense class, but that's been years ago. I probably need to brush up on that again. So, yeah. Oh, and the other thing is, I do have one more thing that helps me stay safe in the van, and that is I have wasp and hornet spray front and back. Part of the reason for that is not necessarily for intruders, but I'm allergic to bees. So the last thing in the world that I want is to share my personal space with a bee. But if I have a two-footed critter, I'm not going to hesitate to use it for that either. So, yeah. So, little thing there. What are you doing? Y'all, you have to see this. I hope I can get it to where you can see it. He's got his head on the arm rest, and I think he's fixing to fall asleep on it. So, I think he can sleep anywhere. Annie J's Crafts and Laughs says, I'm traveling to Georgia on the 7th. What state will you be in the 7th to the 14th? I will be in Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina. So, but, I mean, depending on where you're going in Georgia, if you want to meet up, we might be able to make that happen. So let me know. I do have a couple of things. I've got to be in Knoxville on the 8th. He's actually, keep this one in your prayers. He has got a pretty major workup with a vet's office. He's having some issues, and we don't know. We've had this question before about whether it's hip or not. And the vet yesterday said, well, it could be his back, but he may not be able to help with mobility much longer. And where we thought it might be around age 5, it might be a lot sooner than that. So I really don't know how I'm going to handle it. So whatever's going on, we're just praying that the test results will be clear. So definitely on the 8th. Okay, so you're going to be around north of Atlanta. We'll talk and see which way you're going and see if we can, if you want to meet, we can see if we can make that happen. But it's going to depend on several things there, of course. So what was the other thing here? I got to get my cheat sheet out. If y'all have any questions, I mean, toss them out there. The other thing is, am I afraid to do solo? Okay, I can't talk tonight. As a disabled person, are you afraid to do solo female travel and travel by yourself? And the answer to that is no. I wouldn't be out doing it if I was. Certainly, disability factors in. I mean, it's going to. You have to make allowances for that, and you have to integrate it, and you have to make a plan. So I have visible and invisible disabilities. So part of my disabilities are hidden. But when I go out with him and he's in his harness, I mean, everybody knows, hey, this person has a disability. You may as well take out a billboard and put it on there. The other thing is, my leg brace pretty much gives it away, So I've got that, and also I do factor that in when I'm trying to stay safe and I'm sleeping at night. Because of having shoes, I can just slip on and go in. as far as the medical stuff, I just feel like if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. So if I am out like a couple of weeks ago when I was driving to Alaska, there are airports. So if something happened to me and I had to call home, my husband could fly out and meet me. Also, on the phone itself, and I think this is a good idea for everybody. What I'm going to tell you is on the phone itself, and I have an Android, so check it if you have an Apple or so forth. There is a setting that you can set where you just push your button on your phone. In my case, it's the on and off switch. And if I hit that twice, then it's set to automatically send out an emergency message to certain people on my contacts list. Also, they get a video clip. So they'll have this little 6-second, 10-second clip so they can kind of figure out what's going on. They'll get the alert itself, and they get my GPS coordinates. So wherever I am, they can find me. And I think that's important to have set and going, no matter whether you're traveling or whether you're home running errands. It's just, it gives you that extra. Also, the two other things that I have set. One is Google location. Google location has been a very helpful thing because it keeps my husband from calling me every 5 minutes wanting to know where I am and how things are. He texts in a lot. That's just him. And setting Google location, again, with certain people, he can follow me. So, like, he knows where I am. And one time I was in Montana, I was with a friend, and we were driving. And she was trying to navigate us around a forest fire. It was kind of major. And she misnavigated. So he calls and he's like, hey, do you know that you are traveling directly toward a forest fire and you really need to get off this road that you're traveling on because you're going in the wrong direction? So turn around. Had he not kind of followed me, then I might not have known that. And it also came in really handy when my daughter was rear-ended and she was at a traffic light and I was on the phone with her. And I was like, I heard this big boom. And I was like, oh my God, Stellar, were you just hit? And she was like, yes, call my husband, tell him where I am. So I could do that while she was dealing with, trying to call 911. So that's nice. So medically, if I'm having an asthma issue, then he'll get that clip and he'll hear me coughing and whatnot, and he can kind of figure it out from there. So that's one of the things that I have set. Also, there is a concern anytime you have diabetes and you're on a trip, there's always the possibility that your sugar will drop and it'll cause you to have an accident because you'll like black out or whatever. Excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. And you'll black out or whatever. So on my phone, I also have crash reports sent where it'll ask me if I've had a crash and I'll say yes or no, or if I don't respond, then it'll send that emergency alert out. How do you set Google location? Is there an app on the phone? Yeah. If you go into Google Maps and pull that up on your phone, then you'll see the avatar icon for you. If you click that, and then it'll bring up that'll pull up the menu over on the left. Again, this is Android. So it'll pull up that menu on the left. And on that menu, you just look down until you get to the point where it says location sharing. And then it'll walk you through it from that point. But that's how you find it. If you get stuck, let me know. I can do like a little video on it or something. So those 3 things help. They give me some peace of mind. They give him some peace of mind. Plus, I do have the dog. So if I start to fall, he's there to brace me. Yeah. Now, Busy, you'd asked about my dog barking, and he will bark. Like if I have a seizure somewhere, he will bark for that, and he will continue barking until somebody comes. Because where they may not come to help you, somebody's going to come to see what in the heck a dog is barking continually for. So he will do that. Also, medically, before I leave, I go in and I talk to my doctor. Like with the whole thing with Alaska and driving through British Columbia and all the forest fires and the smoke and everything, I knew I was going to come into that. And I went in, I told my doctor, I'm like, this is what I'm driving through, and what can we do to not have an asthma problem on the road? So she went ahead and wrote me for antibiotics and a steroid pack. So I had that. And I have had to use that on more than one occasion when I was on a trip, because my lungs don't handle elevation changes that well. And that also, that prepares you. You've got peace of mind. I've also used MD Live for years when I was on a trip. So for traveling as a woman with a disability, it's about looking at what are your disabilities and how do you mitigate those. And going in and talking to my doctor, setting all those settings on Google Location, making sure I had the nebulizer solution and the nebulizer with me and had all of that, taken care of. Making sure that I have plenty of regular medication. And here's the thing. If you're going to be gone for 14 days, don't just take 14 days worth of medication. Take 20 days or 21 days of medication. And the reason is, if you get on the road and something happens and you have to take longer, even though you weren't planning on it, you're going to be glad for that extra medication. So don't just take what you need, take more than that. Make sure you use a pharmacy that's nationwide if you're going to be traveling a lot, because I cannot tell you how many times I have gotten stuck with the insurance company telling me that my prescription was too early to fill, and then wind up in Alaska, New Mexico, Arizona, and wherever, and have to hunt a pharmacy down and get my medicine. And the reason I say pick a national pharmacy, and even if you don't have a national one locally, then maybe switch for a short term. The reason I say that is because they can pull up your medications and they can fill it or answer questions or anything like that. Whereas if you are in California and your doctor is in, say, East Tennessee or eastern coast of Virginia, you've got a time difference there that you have to work with. So you may be at 3 o'clock time or 2 o'clock time and having to contact your doctor if you're in California. But that same time period is going to be 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock on the East Coast. And you've got to allow for that. So if you have a nationwide pharmacy that you use, then that cuts that out. Okay, thanks. Says, let me check it out. Okay, good. So that is a big deal, but it's about looking at, what can you do just to make things safer? Another thing that I like to do is I like my AAA membership, because I know that wherever I am, if something, and I'm typically US or Canada, anywhere I am, I can call AAA and they can help me figure it out from there. And I have their maximum, I've got AAA Premier RV. So where AAA Plus will cover you for like 100 miles of towing, I've got the Premier, which will cover me for 200 miles of towing. So if I get stuck, I've got plenty of towing. The other thing is about my AAA membership that I really like, and I am not paid to endorse AAA at all. So don't think this is a AAA commercial. But the other thing that comes with it is some trip interruption insurance kind of thing. So if you get caught and let's say you have a vehicle breakdown and you have to be in a hotel for a couple of nights, they'll kick in and they'll reimburse you for the cost of your hotel and the cost of your meals up to a certain amount. I think it's like $1,500 for Premier. I don't know what the other levels are, but twice I have had to tap into that. You know, last summer I was traveling through, going to New Mexico, see the brand new grandbaby that I have. And well, she's not new now, she's over a year, but you know what I mean. And I was traveling and my air conditioner went out. Well, it was over 100 degrees. And there is no way at all I can be in a van with the air conditioner out. And I do have in this back window, in this back door, I do have an air conditioner back there. And it runs on solar. But I only have about an hour on it. So I can't always run it on solar. And so when the air conditioner went out, I knew I had to have it fixed. And I finally found a Firestone, and that was an ordeal of finding a place that. Okay, those were the motorcycles going down the road. Anyway, finding a place that would work on it. So suddenly I have 2 nights in a hotel that I am not planning on, food that I have to buy because I messed up and I left my food in the van when I had the van towed. I forgot to get it out. So all of my food spoiled except for the canned stuff. And AAA reimbursed me for the hotels. They reimbursed me for the meals. And I know that they're going to come and get me if I have a problem. Now, let's say I'm in a place and AAA says, I'm sorry, we can't. Well, I have towing on my insurance. And I called to verify that every time right before I go on a big trip. And I'm like, let me make sure that it hasn't changed and how many miles of towing do I get and so forth. So I actually have that covered 2 ways. And if you buy tires at Sam's, a lot of people don't realize that Sam's tires come with if you buy it, they come with emergency roadside service, and that comes as part of your road hazard warranty. So if you buy tires at Sam's, you're covered for tire problems, okay? And you can have tire problems anywhere. Okay, so got those 2 questions. Okay, how do you have fun as a solo female traveler? You just can't hardly not have fun. You know, it's the same way everybody else does when they're on a trip, and that is you pick out what you want to do and you do it. You know, if you want to go take a hike, go take a hike. You don't have to worry so much because you've got all your settings done on your phone. So go out and take that hike. If you're going to go shopping in a tourist area and you want to go into all the cutesy little gift shops, go do that. You know, it's the same. It's the same. The only thing is you have to get used to being by yourself. And until you get to that point where you're comfortable in your own skin and being by yourself, then I don't care where you are, you're going to be so filled with anxiety that you're not going to be able to have a good time. So really get comfortable with yourself so you can do that. Okay. And the other thing is where to sleep. And Gloria says, I wouldn't feel comfortable at a truck stop or any place like that. So where could I go to sleep? All right. Okay. You say you're not going to be comfortable at a truck stop. That actually, for me, is one of the places that I'm the most comfortable. And it's because people are always going in and out. So you have this constant flow of traffic, which kind of lessens the likelihood of somebody, you know, coming up and doing something to your van. I actually did have something happen to me happen to the van, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But only one time, and I've been doing this since 2015. Okay. Um, Truck stops for me, I like that. Also, a lot of truck stops have security, so that gives you extra peace of mind. So I usually I'll go buy gas or buy things inside and ask them, hey, where can I park if it's not obvious, and they'll direct me to that. Some Love's truck stops actually have camping spaces that you can rent, and they'll sometimes have electricity and water. Sometimes you may get one or the other. So be very careful when you're booking online that you know exactly what you are getting. I pulled up into a Love's and it didn't have water. And that was one of the things I had really wanted. It was myself and my husband, and we were in our travel trailer and no water. So, yeah, so we left. We got a refund. We left. But that's just how I feel. Now, some of the other places that I've spent the night have been roadside pull offs, especially if I was in Alaska. And that's where I kind of got into trouble one night. Rest areas, you kind of have to watch those because some of them, like if you're in Tennessee, you've got a 2-hour limit at a rest area. So you're not going to spend the night. And they do enforce that. Okay. So don't try to pull a fast one because they do enforce that. And Cracker Barrels, I feel pretty comfortable there. Sam's Club, Walmart, places like that. I have heard that some Cabela's will let you spend the night and some Bass Pro Shops, but I don't know about that. I've never tried to spend the night there. Also, just go in. If you want to park somewhere, go in and ask. There have been several times when places didn't officially let people spend the night, but I just went in and asked. Another thing that you may want to consider, Gloria, depending on how often you want to do this, and that is you might want to get a Harvest Host memberships. Now, Harvest Host is really, really cool because they have a network of like 4,900 places across the US and some in Canada where you can spend the night for $20. And you're not always charged that $20, but it's a really neat membership, and I have that. I love it and use it quite a bit, actually. So what they do is you have to send in pictures and tell them, like what you are usually traveling in. And with me, van and travel trailer. And there are certain requirements. You have to be fully contained, which means you can cook, use the bathroom, and whatever all in your vehicle. Most of the time, if you're a rig, you can't pull out slides, no slide outs. But you can spend the night at a winery, a distillery, a museum, farms, and so forth. And then they ask in return that you go in and you spend $20. And it's not that hard to do because if you're traveling and you stay at a farm, you've got to buy some food anyway. So get your produce, get your eggs, and boom, you spent $20, but you've got things that you need. If you go into a museum, pick one that you want to go tour. And then your admission price is part of your $20, So it's really easy to do. I feel pretty safe with them, but no matter where I am, it's park under a light, park where security cameras can see you if you've got them, and just lock your doors, just be safe. So I told you I got into trouble at an Overlook. I'm still going to spend the nights at Overlooks. Okay, that's just me. I was in Alaska. I was outside of Watson Lake, Yukon, Canada. So I wasn't in Alaska. I was going away. But anyway, Watson Lake, Yukon, Canada. As you come through and you are going toward Alaska, there is a large pull-off area in just a few miles down on the left. That's where I had spent the night. And it was not a good decision on my part, and I've learned my lesson on this. And I pulled in, and the way I pulled in, it put my gas cap on the forest side. Not the best move. And I had never thought about this until it happened. So I get up the next day and I'm taking Pipsy and we're taking care of his needs. And I come around the van and I look and I'm like, I did not leave my fuel cap open. And I look down again because I'm like, every time I pull out from a gas pump, I'm always looking in my rearview side mirror just to make sure I haven't done something stupid like this. So I come out and it's like, I know I did not leave it like that. Well, the guy who was parked in the RV in front of me, he says, "Oh, so you left your cap open too, ha ha." And he's laughing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't leave my cap open. And he's closing his cap too. So I'm like, wait a minute. And I got in the van and I checked, and sure enough, I was down to about half a tank of gas. So whoever siphoned my tank was kind enough to leave some in there, but he was obviously, or she was obviously very practiced about it. We went over and talked to a person at another RV that was parked at this same overlook. And I'm like, hey, check your gas because this just happened to me. And the guy who, pointed out that I'd left my cap open went in, he checked his gas too. And he, sure enough, didn't have all that he was supposed to. And this guy was like, he went and checked and his gas cap was open too. So we're standing there and I'm like kind of fussing about this. And this one guy was like, they stole my gas. And I'm like, yeah, we all got hit. And he was just making this really big production about it was his gas without even realizing that he wasn't the only one that got targeted. And so we're standing there like in the middle of this overlook having this conversation. And this guy comes up and he's like, Miss, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And he kind of looked at me kind of dubious. And I told him, I said, I just had my gas siphoned. Oh, and this guy was all about, well, we have to call the police. We have to report it. And it's like, there's no cameras. We're on the side of the road. We're like off, not in the boonies, but it's like, what are they going to do? There's nobody there anymore. It's done. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how this happened. And I didn't hear something. And he's like, oh, this happened to me. And I think he was from Australia, or maybe he was in Australia when it happened or whatever. And he's like, when you open up your gas flap, it doesn't make any noise. And you can reach in and pull the cap off and you're not making any noise. But the noise comes in when you go to screw the cap back on. It'll kind of squeak sometimes, or at least mine will. And when you close it, you have that thunk sound of the gas flap closing. So he's like, that's how you get your gas stolen and you don't hear anything. And that's why they left this open. The really good thing that I had to think about was I'm glad it didn't rain because you don't want water in your gas tank. So fortunately, that part of it was good. But until he explained it, like I never thought about that. But next time I got gas, I did. And he's right. And so even with Doggo down here, he didn't alert, he didn't whine, he didn't bark. And I had no idea. And neither did anybody else who got their gas stolen when we were at the overlook. So that was really kind of frustrating. And I use the term overlook and pull off interchangeably. This was really more of a pull off outside of Watson Lake, but at least he didn't take all of it. And I had enough to get back to the gas station, turn around, go to Watson Lake or go forward. So I had enough for that. But that is the only time I have had a safety issue when I've been in the van as far as things like that. Now, a couple of years ago, when I was going to Alaska this time, 2 years ago, 3 years, 2019, when I went to Alaska last, I did have problems with fire, and that's just a risk you're going to have. So I'm just talking about your average things that can go wrong when you're doing van life and when you're by yourself. So, fire is just one of those things that, all you can do is listen to your local authorities, keep your gas tank as filled as you can, drive on the top half or drive on the top quarter. That's just the way it is. And with gas, I try to do that anyway, anytime I'm out by myself, because you don't want to be in a position where you're going to call somebody to come and bring you gas, whether it's AAA, insurance company, whatever, because you want to prevent as many problems as possible, you know. So whenever I leave home, I always take the van and I have it checked out. My husband has it checked out. Granted, this time that backfired as far as driving to Alaska, but we did try. And I've got a whole video up about that headlight ordeal that I had to go through. But basically, I try to get the van checked before I leave to prevent as many problems as possible. You know, tires, you can always run into something that's not, you know, that whether you're on a trip or not, that's just one of those things. So AAA, road hazard warranty, etc. on the tires. Keep them inflated, keep your vehicle in good shape, check your fluid levels, you know, and checking your fluid levels, okay, it's something that's really easy to do, but you will be surprised by the number of people who, when they're on a trip and they're doing van life or they're in their car, they never check the oil level while they're on the trip. Like they'll go beforehand, but they won't check it while they're on the trip, and then they wonder why they're having problems on the road. So you've got to check with that. Keep a check on that. And that's part of how you stay safe. You just try to prevent as many things as possible. You watch where you're parking. You kind of watch what you're doing. Like one of the things with me that I feel like helps keep me safer is I don't eat at a lot of restaurants, because when I do, it's me and my service dog. So I feel like I'm kind of advertising that I'm on the road by myself as a disabled woman. So I tend not to go into restaurants. I will go into Walmart, get a bunch of things, and come back to the van and cook it. Once or twice I might go to a restaurant, but I kind of limit it. You know, and if I do go into a restaurant, I'm going to make sure it's one that's nice and quiet and has table service and free refills, you know, not just a drive-through. Hey, Busy saying good tips. So hi again, Busy. So I just don't want to advertise it, you know, more than I need to. Do you pick up carry out a lot? No, not really. I will sometimes, basically like fast food that I can get in and out of. Okay, you had to go vacuum. Believe me, I understand. I wish you were here. I still have to vacuum from the big trip. But yeah, I try it. You know, you're doing a couple of things there. You know, you're saving money. And for me, I'm not advertising, and I can have something whenever I want it. So that's the nice thing about the van. He's over here huffing. He is so tired that I don't know if y'all heard that big that he just did. I know, it's a horrible life when you're the doggy, isn't it? I think he wants to go WALK. Ordering carry out at a regular place is healthier than fast food. I always forget about it. Yeah, it is. The only thing is, you know, when you're on the road, you don't always know where the good places are to eat. And, you know, the whole really getting off the road and hunting something down, for me, it's more stressful. So I'll go in and grab a Subway sandwich, grab a salad out of the convenience store kind of thing, stuff like that. So yeah, we joke. I actually spend less money on food when I'm on the road because I'm buying things, or I'm always thinking ahead. Like if I do stop, like if I spend the night at Cracker Barrel overnight, then I will buy something from there because I feel like you should. So I'll just call them or go online and I'll say, this is what I want. I'm always trying to think ahead. So what can I do with my leftovers? Because I always have them. So try to get something I'm going to get a couple of meals out of, you know. It's okay. We'll get you a pass. We'll get you a pass. But they do have really nice salads, I will say that. So if you're trying to watch or be healthy or anything like that, their salads are usually pretty fresh. Not this horrible tasting bag stuff. Right, leftovers are great. They are. They are. And like with some of the breakfast and stuff, like Cracker Barrel, I'm just gonna pick on them, okay? But they bring biscuits out at every meal, and if you tell them that you're traveling, they'll usually give you a couple of extra to take home at no extra charge. And some of the breakfast, oh my gosh, like they have this one breakfast, and it's got grits and ham and eggs and hash browns, and you don't need all that. So I'll wind up and I'll take part of the ham home and stuff like that. So I'll have ham and biscuits for lunch and that kind of thing. Oh, really? I love salad. Been losing weight, working my clean. Good for you. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I don't know if you heard me clap the car, but anyway, yay. Good for you. And the cleaning job's working out. Ham and biscuits sounds delicious. They are good, but I can't eat like a whole big meal like that. I'm not a huge breakfast person anyway. So where I've got the fridge, I'll just stick the ham in the fridge and wind up having that for lunch. I heard, yay! I kind of paused there because I wasn't sure if you were going to or not. Yeah, with the event that they've got going on, they've got all kinds of other vehicles and stuff. So making noise. Then we have the dog sigh. He's okay though. And he actually, a lot of people, one of the big questions that I've been asked is, how well does he travel? And he travels great. Of course, being in the van, it's got some positives. So I don't, I really, as far as being in the car, he's always done great. But if I had to take a really, really big trip, I don't know that I would take a car just because of the dog, even if I had that option, which is not going to happen. But where you have this space in the van going up here to the front, and where the center aisleway is cleared out, if it's raining outside and he needs some energy taken out of his system, then you can actually play fetch if I'm sitting in the front of the van and he's in the back. I can do that BALL. And I'm not going to say the word because he's going to be ready. But you can do the BALL and he can run back and forth and get some of that energy out. And he's always got water out and so forth. I feed him in the van. That's never a problem. So he travels great. The other thing about that is when you're talking about safety is you don't necessarily want to get your dog out in the middle of the night and let him go walk a lot. Get him out, let him take care of business. But then, there's space for him to move around and he doesn't feel like all hemmed in. So I don't have to spend as much time outside with him. So I like that. LOL, how cool. Yeah. It's one of the really neat things about van life that I really like. And, it just gives you so much flexibility. If we talked about earlier, if there's danger, you can drive away. If it's raining outside, then you can still do things inside. With me, if I want to lounge on the bed and read a book while it's pouring down rain or snowing or whatever, I can do that. So it's just, I like that. And having the solar and being able to cook whatever I want, it's just, it's just cool. It's just cool. But that's just me. I'm a nut for travel, and I like my van. I like my solo female travel. I like traveling with my husband. I guess I just like traveling, right? So, yeah. So, all right. Well, I hear a church carillon going. That's pretty cool. I don't know what song they're playing. I can't hear it that well. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to go. We try to keep this to an hour. If y'all have any other questions, then like Gloria did, and it's a different Gloria than who usually hangs out with us. But go ahead and I'll write them down so I don't have to try flipping screens back and forth on the next video. So I'll do my best to answer. So Busy, thank you for coming out. I hope you continue to like your new job, and I hope you continue losing weight because that's really, really cool. So thank you all. Go out and have a great weekend. Okay. Always it's hashtag be bodacious, which means you're not going to let life get in the way of living. So thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you Saturday at 7. I've got a couple of videos coming out this week too. I hope you like them. So y'all take care. Good night, everybody.